Domino's pizza and they bring it to your house, that's that thing right there.
I don't even know what. I know that that's not true, but what are you even talking about?
When they bring pizza to your house, the sleeve they put it in, so
it keeps the pizza warm.
Yeah, that's
a light.
No, I was talking about the thing around it. I can clearly tell.
Oh, okay. Anyways, I'm going to start the timer right
now?
there.
Okay.
No, I want to include that nonsense. What? How are you doing?
I was leaning into that strong silence that you told me about on the last podcast.
The awkward silence.
Yes.
We didn't talk about it on the last podcast.
It was in the after show. So anyone that watches the after hours version.
You got to stay for the... What do you say? Go for more or go to YouTube, except that's where this already is.
Yeah, and there is not more. So
you just have to...
Whatever. How are you doing, man?
Great.
Yeah. Gosh, it's almost Christmas.
December...
Ish.
Is upon us. I've got a lot of Christmas shopping done for the first time in my adult life. I think I went and did a lot of Christmas shopping early.
You just did it after Thanksgiving and before Christmas, or when did you do it?
No, I was telling you a couple weeks ago. Rachel, we had a day where we were just bored and we went to the mall. She's 9 years old. What are we going to do? We're like, let's just do all the Christmas shopping for everybody. She loves buying gifts anyway. It was fun. And I got to say, man, it felt good to get ahead.
Yeah.
And boy, what a better selection you get. All the sizes are there. All the colors are there. It's the first time in my life I've ever been like not just small and 3XL is the only thing in this, so Cameron gets terrible stuff.
Wow.
Everybody's going to be happy this year in the old Stevens household.
Well, that's exciting. That's a big deal. Good for you for getting ahead.
How about that?
Yeah. But you kind of missed the hustle and bustle. The Christmas Santa Claus mall guy wasn't there and stuff. You didn't miss that?
They had a thing that kids were taking pictures. I think there was a Santa there.
Oh.
Well, what else might it have been? There was something. They were taking pictures with somebody.
Yeah, it could have been the security guard.
That was like missing.
Yeah.
Like if you've lost your child.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I'll tell you who's not missing.
Chandler Stacy.
Chandler Stacy.
Woo woo.
Hey, man.
Let's go. Let's go.
It's good to be here.
How many times have we referenced Chandler on this podcast?
Yeah, well, we had our researchers look into it. It was 114 times.
You're a legend. You don't even know it.
Well, I appreciate that.
Have you ever watched a single episode of the podcast?
I have. I've watched several. I've been forced into a couple, but the other ones I've watched voluntarily.
Who forced you into it?
Everybody.
Oh, everybody.
Yeah, collectively. I think everyone's forced me into watching theirs a few times. Zach was really against me watching his.
Really?
And then I always get the next day of, you were mentioned on the podcast last time. You should check it out. So then I selfishly go and listen to the 1 minute that I was mentioned.
Yeah.
Why was Zach against it?
Well, I don't know. I don't think he likes being on camera and stuff like that.
God, he did great.
Yeah. I thought he did too.
It's an all-timer.
Yeah, well,
you've been down to the studio audience before.
I have. I sat right there and watched.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So
as a spectator.
Now you're in front of the camera.
Now I'm on the opposite side of the action.
Walk me through the emotions that you're feeling right now.
I'm nervous. I don't know. I feel like we've done this a few times, like sitting around hanging out, so it's not much different than that. But the mic in my face, being a little more zesty than usual.
Wow. I've been called a lot of things. I don't think I've ever been called zesty.
You're like a ranch dip.
Yeah, a zesty ranch dip.
You're akin to ranch dip, I think so, in this setting.
Okay.
Sure.
Well, cool. Well, so Chandler Stacy, what do you do at Village Caregiving?
So my official title is I'm a human resources director.
Wow.
What I do is I'm a resource for the offices for different things like unemployment claims, wage garnishments, employment verifications, those type of things. Really just there to make their job easier in some form, answer questions to do with health insurance, and then some questions that I may not know the answer to. I'm kind of a filter to maybe Andy or Zach, and that's with the reporting portal, things like that too. So kind of the in-between for them.
I got
in some ways.
Wears a lot of hats, a lot of different kinds of tasks that you knock out every day.
Yeah, I'm doing different things every day, but
Chandler does a lot of things. I'll tell you what, I'm glad for you and Zach because I used to do all that stuff myself, and it's a ton of work, man.
Yeah,
I see the stack on your desk. It starts piling up sometimes, and I have like little heart palpitations on your behalf because I know that's a lot of work sitting there. Every day when the mail runs, you just got about 3 more hours of work.
Yeah.
Right?
It's a little intimidating on Monday sometimes when I come in, but it's made me better at kind of prioritizing things, realizing what needs to be done, meeting deadlines. But all in all, it's not too bad, I suppose.
Yeah.
It could be worse.
Well, so Chandler, tell us, how did you get to Village Caregiving? What's your story?
So I do have a surprise for you guys I want to show, and I think this is a good time to bring it out. I'm going to show you guys a card trick, right? And it's not like a David Blaine, like you're going to be amazed type trick. It's more of an old-fashioned kind of thing.
Okay, I swear to God.
It's only going to take 2 or 3 minutes. You can cut it if you would like. It may not be up to your standards, up to snuff. But I am going to show you it. I think it. My papa taught me this when I was a kid, and I think it serves to kind of give a background on me, where I come from. Okay, so I'm going to tell this story from my grandfather's perspective, right? Hear me out.
Okay,
Tell the story from my grandfather's perspective, okay?
Okay.
So there's this bartender. It's my grandfather's. They called Tick. All right, I'm going to call him the first person. So
Don't neglect your microphone there.
Yeah.
I want everybody to hear this story.
sorry about that.
No, you're good. Just point it towards you there.
So there's this
is
bartender.
gold. A
This
bartender named
in
Tick.
Chicago. No, Tick is this right here. This is Tick. I'm Tick, right?
Oh, okay.
So I was with this bartender in Chicago. He
Gotcha.
just opened up this new spot, a great spot of town, right? But he couldn't get people there. Me being a person that navigates, roams the street at times, I told him, well, I can help find you some people. And he said, man, that'd be great if you could get some people down here. We could really get some business going. I said, I'll go downtown and see what I can do. Cut the deck.
Okay. Deck is cut.
Thank you. So I headed downtown and I went 1 block,
Okay.
2 blocks, 3 blocks, 4 blocks, 5 blocks, and 1 door. And up popped a little Tick. I said, so did you find anybody? He said, yeah, I found these 4 old men. Just got their Social Security checks. Like to come in and drink a few beers at this new spot. I said, Tick, where'd you find them? I said, 95 Club. Well, he said, Tick, just for going out of your way, I'll give you $2 for your trouble. He came to me a little later and he said, man, Tick, we got all these men in here, but there's no women. If we don't get some women in here, these men are going to leave. I said, I'll go downtown and see what I can do.
I really cut the deck that time.
You
No
cut it.
way this works.
So I went downtown. I went 1 block
Yeah.
and 4 doors down. And up popped a little Tick.
There he is again.
Did you find anybody? He said, yeah, I found these 4 college girls on spring break. I'd come in and maybe get a few drinks off these men. I said, yeah, where'd you find them? I said, 96 Club. Well, he said, Tick, here's $2 more for your trouble. He came to me, he said, Tick, it's just not cutting it. We need to get some younger men in here. These women are going to leave. We need to spice it up, get a younger crowd. I said, I'll go downtown and see what I can do. Cut the deck
I'm gonna
again.
barely cut the deck this time. I messed this whole trick up.
Down.
I
Downtown,
hope old Tick
1
ain't going
block.
to pop up again, is he?
2 blocks, 3 blocks, 4 blocks, 5 blocks, 6 blocks, and 4 doors. Up pop a little Tick.
How does he do it?
He said, so did you find anybody? I said, yeah, I found these 4 young men. Just got out of prison, got a little money held back from that robbery. So where'd you manage to find them? 97 Club. He said, well, Tick, I'll give you $2 more for your trouble. He came to me again. He said, Tick, I know I've asked you for a lot. You've been going around finding people for me, but we're running out of alcohol. And if we don't get any alcohol in here, everybody's going to leave. So I said, I'll go downtown and see what I can do.
Okay.
You got to cut. You got to actually cut it. You left me with
there we go.
one card. at the
Okay.
bottom.
I'm sorry. I'm nervous.
So I went downtown, went 1 block, 2 blocks, and 4 doors down, and there popped a little Tick. So he said, did you find anything, man? We're bone dry. I said, yeah, I found 4 cases, Ace High Liquor, best in town. So where'd you find that at? 98 Club. I said, no, 77 Club. He said, well, Tick, liquor costs money. I'll give you $3 for your trouble this time. He said, you've been doing all these favors for me. You barely know me. I feel like I barely know you. Why don't you tell me about yourself? Well, I said, I'm 54. My wife's 53. He said, that's strange. I'm 44, and my wife's 43. He said, Tick, you hang out at all these extravagant spots, hanging around town, meeting all these people. I bet you're into cards, aren't you? I said, well, yeah, I play some games sometimes. So I was in a pot the other day. I think it was $40, 20, 30, 40. He said, oh, man. He said, did you end up winning that hand, or what happened? I said, well, the guy who was doing all the betting, he kind of rigged the game, gave himself a full house, 3 8s and 2 6s. He said, "Oh, well, I guess he ran away with the money then." I said, "Nope. I had a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of diamonds. That's my trick."
Wow.
A little long and long-winded, I
Let me
suppose.
check out that 2 of spades.
Huh?
Just hold that up for the camera.
Yeah.
This is not damaged in any way.
No, it's not marked. I can't see. I want to poke holes in this story.
Wow.
I was worried Jeff would want to shuffle the cards, which would have foiled the plan, but it didn't
That's
happen,
a lot of memorization you got going on there. That's a good trick.
I was taught that trick when I was like 11 years old, and then my papa unfortunately passed away. I taught it to all my cousins, so it's kind of like a family memoir, so to speak, and a living memoir of, I don't know. I think that leads back to you asking me about myself, how I ended up here. I think that like he has a lot to do with that in a way. My family in Southern West Virginia has a lot to do with how I am today, my values, things like that. But obviously in a more direct way, Zach, I knew Zach growing up. Zach and I, his dad coached me in football. We grew up in the same community. He was older than me, but we always knew each other. So the time came, I think, where he needed someone, and he reached out to me and asked me. And I came and did that interview with you guys, and I was really impressed. It felt like something I wanted to be a part of. So yeah, that's how I got here.
So you're from this area, right? You're born and raised near. You were out in the Spring Valley area, is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah, and you played high school football. You were a decent player, from what Zach is willing to confess. Now you were a talented player, and that led to opportunities in college. Is that right?
I think that's correct to some degree.
Okay.
I played football in college in Pittsburgh, Carnegie Mellon, for a few years, and that was a big part of getting me in there. Recruiting and stuff. I doubt I would have ended up there without football. And football, sports in general, played a massive role in my life, even up to this point. It's the time I was 5 years old I played, so it's kind of how I built most of my friendships, connections, learned experiences, all through that kind of thing.
Still involved in the community and aspects of football with youth football, is that right?
I am. I go down to youth football sometimes, but I mostly coach at Spring Valley High School. I coach the defensive backs there. We got a playoff game coming up Friday.
What's your prediction on that game?
I'm not going to do that. Get me on Pete Rose, disqualified by the WVSSAC.
I went and watched the game this year.
Yep, he did.
Yeah, you guys romped.
Yeah, we had a good outing, the one he came to, thank God.
Yeah.
But I think it weirdly relates to, you were talking on the podcast with Adria Shields about how the people around you and having young people at the company, you did mention me. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But you're talking about how that makes you kind of feel younger and like stay in tune with maybe a younger, more creative side of yourself. I think it works a similar way. It reminded me of being out there at Spring Valley football, kind of around them, the way they think. But they all think I'm old. At work, everybody calls me a kid and thinks I'm young. And
How old are you?
They call me old. I'm 24 years old.
That's what I thought.
24. You remember yourself at 24?
Yeah, I do. A lot like Chandler. I've been told this actually by a lot of people too, that we're a lot alike. What do you think about that?
Oh, I agree.
Can you see that?
I agree 1,000%.
In what ways?
I think that you guys will see things in life very similar at different points at it, but I can see how you both can arrive at an opinion of whether that's a current event, a political event, a reaction to a scenario. If we were doing a Dear Abby right now, I would imagine your answers would be eerily similar. It is, yeah, it's never a shock to me when we throw out some random idea in the hallway at work and you both see it the exact same way. Slight variations due to, life experiences or biases, but still very, very similar, much different than I may see it or Andy may see it or whatever.
It's kind of funny. I think that's how that got started. There was one day at lunch and then another, like the next day at the office, like everybody shares the same opinion on this one thing, whatever the discussion was, except Chandler and I are like, now wait a minute. And we both just always push back on the same thing.
It will be something like, and again, not to describe, but it may be like the best rock band ever was Metallica. And everyone at the table was like, oh yeah. And you both are like, oh, they're trash. And you're like, what? How do you arrive at that thought that both of you, but yeah, it's just always interesting, but no,
We're just cool like that, you know.
I've always said that. Yeah.
I'm
know what
kind
they
of
say.
young like
Yeah.
him too, you know.
Yeah,
Don't you
yeah.
think so?
I'm a little older too, maybe.
Yeah. So
Meet him in the middle.
I think that it is very interesting that both of you operate at a level
Let me show you a card trick.
and
Take any card in there.
okay. Do you want to see the card?
7 of hearts. What do we got?
Dude, how did you do that?
I figure if I do that enough times in life, 1 out of 52 of them should work, and I'm going to blow somebody's mind. Wish that had been the time.
Gosh, that would have been. Could we just put a graphic over top of it?
Okay, I'm sorry.
No.
We got to give our reaction to him being right.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that. Go ahead.
You don't get okay.
And then me just smugly like,
Yeah. This is high quality television.
Aaron now has the cards.
I like how also we did mostly just for video there, so anybody actually listening to this on Spotify is like, it's
Has
broken. I've
no
lost,
idea
I've
what's
lost
happening.
internet here. Okay, sorry about that. I messed up.
No, you're fine. You're fine. So Chandler, you leave college, you come back to West Virginia. What brought you back? The world's at your fingertips. You're a young, healthy, good-looking guy, college educated. You could go anywhere, and you come back to the community that you were raised in, around the people that you were raised with, and start working in this community. What led you back here?
I think it's a difficult question to answer. I think in like a direct format, I think that the first thing that comes to mind is, I don't know, growing up here, I think a lot of people want to get out. It's like, this is your experience. Maybe it's like that in a lot of places people grow up, but your first instinct is to want to get out. Oh, I want to see something different. Then you kind of get that, and it makes you realize how special the place is where you grew up, or how the comfort of it is different. You can't really replace that anywhere else you go. I think that's what brought me back. Being involved in the community with football and things like that, I think was a big way of getting me back. But also just kind of time to figure out what I want to do, where I want to go. I didn't want to commit to any future endeavors yet. I want to give myself some breathing room, some time to kind of keep developing. And then luckily found some people that I could grow around, grow with. Not Aaron specifically. but other people in the company.
I got you.
Yeah.
Smart. I mean, I admire how intentional you are about that, because that's one thing at 24 I sure wasn't. I just was kind of doing whatever.
Did you think you were coming back? You went to Lexington and went off to law school.
I was open to either way,
Okay.
really. No, I mean, I didn't have a preconceived notion of it.
Yeah.
I think it's so do you know what you want to do? I know we've talked about, do you want to go to law school or not? That's something that's looming. Probably, how often do you think about that? Every day?
No, I
Okay.
don't. I try not to think about it that way. I think I've always considered it kind of inevitable that I'm going to go to law school. I think it's like where I see myself continuing to grow. But I try not to put that pressure on myself. I also know that I could decide tomorrow that I don't want to do that, and I'm confident that I'll find something that makes me happy. And
Yeah.
but I try not to think about the future in that way. I try and just kind of prioritize, like, am I learning, am I growing now in this moment with what I'm doing now? If that's not the case, then I think that's my main concern. But as long as I continue to do that, I think that's really the main thing I'm focused on. I view law school sort of in that basket, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You can at times find yourself in a water cooler conversation at Village Caregiving on a very deep topic. Most people, when I pass by Chandler, we're involved in a very deep, specific topic. You have a strong interest in I think very intellectual conversations. Rarely is anyone passing by going, "How's the weather, Chandler?" It's usually like, "What's your take on this climate change issue in Uganda?" And you have a weird knowledge of many, many things. Have you always been a curious person? Have you always been an intellectual that read and studied and found yourself kind of in rabbit holes of things? Or
I think on the curiosity part, I think I've always been curious. I have two older brothers. I think I always viewed knowledge and then and curiosity as kind of a competitive thing.
Okay.
And I don't really think of it that way anymore, but I think in my early years of development, that's how I thought of it, was like, if I'm learning and they're not, I'm getting ahead of them. And using things I know to kind of make them feel bad, I guess, as a brother. But
weaponizing it.
Weaponizing it, yeah.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I'm sure that's how it originated. How does anything originate, I guess, in that
See, that's
way.
the kind of things I'm talking about right there. But let's continue on.
I don't know. I mean, I like talking about things that, especially things that there aren't answers to. Like, anybody can be right. It's just how well you can convey your thoughts on them. I know I'm not right, and then there's probably every day we have a water core conversation. I go home and I'm like, well, I don't really agree with what I said there, but I'm just going to let it ride at this point. So then I'll just keep doubling down on it anytime. But now I have to remember all these takes I had that I don't really agree with anymore that I'm being held to. So there's that element too. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So what was it like when you joined Village Caregiving? You come to the home office. There are a lot of people there. They all have different backgrounds. They're all at different points in their life. You are notably, especially at the time, one of the younger ones in the group. You're kind of making your own way. You're learning how to. I've worked in office settings. I've worked around adults at different phases. I remember when I became a nurse, the first shift that I worked, there was a lady that was ready to retire, a bunch of nurses that was just kind of middle of their career, and then me, brand new. So the entire spectrum of nursing was on the floor that day, which was pretty wild. I don't know that you get that in everything. I thought that to be pretty unique. But you come in, you're new to a professional work environment. You come in, you sit at your desk. What has that been like? Because there are some real wild personalities at the home office, a lot of different types of people. Has that been a good experience for you? Have you grown from that? Is that driving you to law school to get away?
No, I mean, I think it goes back to kind of what I mentioned before, that's a part of that learning like that. I wouldn't have it any other way with other people having different personalities, like you said, and there's a lot of variability of how people are, what they think, what they believe. I think that's crucial to me for having an enjoyable work environment. But also, I don't have anything to compare it to. I didn't work before this. I was in school, and then I kind of took time off, and then luckily found it here. So I'm spoiled in that regard, probably, with how kind of a tight-knit we are at the home office and stuff, and how everyone kind of just says how they feel. I imagine it's unlike many other work environments where there's pressure and people feel there's kind of certain expectations for what they do. It doesn't really feel like that there. So yeah, I don't have anything to compare it to, but as far as me, it's just, I don't know, I enjoy talking to people. That's why I like being where I'm at in the office too, kind of in the middle of people. I get to see everybody all day and talk to them, and I've enjoyed that aspect the entire time. I would hate to be somewhere by myself where I have to go out of my way to see people and talk to people.
I got you. You like having Chandler around, do you?
100%. One of my favorite people that I've ever met. And can't you see the people here in the studio why I reference Chandler so much, right? I mean, it's kind of obvious. He's a different kind of dude. And I mean that in the best possible way. A lot of smart people out there in the world, and you're a smart young guy and deep thinker. You think differently about things, and that's what Aaron's getting at. It could be a really profound topic or any news item that is polarizing, and you always have a unique take on it, and you think a lot. And you said it goes all the way back to childhood with your brothers. I'll tell you one thing that you got that isn't all that common, though, is you got real guts. And what I mean by that is a self-belief and leadership that comes from you that is a real rare thing. Just even come on here and tell the card trick that your grandfather taught you. I relate to this a lot because I do a lot of things around the office and at work where I'm like, am I going to get laughed at for this? Whenever I give a speech up in the gazebo to 20 people, and I'm kind of pouring my heart out to some degree and saying like some of this, pep talk type stuff, do 2 or 3 people go back in the office and think, who does this guy think he is? Like, are you kidding me? Like, that was so lame. Like, how corny. I don't know.
Yeah.
They would never say that to me, so I don't ever get to find out that stuff. So you do it anyway. And really the only guide that you can have sometimes it's just your own conscience. And that's hard when that's your only guiding star on some of that stuff. But I think that you're one of those rare type of people that is comfortable with that. It's never that comfortable, but you could live in that world and with a true self-belief that will allow you to achieve some really unique and extraordinary things in your life, and in a way that anybody that's ever really truly changed the world in some big way was that kind of a person, unconventional, followed their own star. And I see a lot of that in you as a young guy. And I find that really fascinating. And so, yes, I love working down the hall from you and hearing your opinion on anything. I can't wait. I mean, I don't.
Kind words.
Yeah, well, I don't mean to sound like your dad or something like that, right? But I've genuinely, I can't wait to see what life takes you toward.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I think some of the things you're talking about too, that it goes back to the first part we had, where I think that's how we're alike in a lot of ways, that we see things similar in that regard too, and we've had conversations about that. I don't know. I'm assuming you don't know why you're like that either. It's kind of just in some ways the way you are.
I'm trying to figure it out, man.
Yeah. Me as well. I don't know. I mean, I do believe that. I mean, it's sort of like an irrational self-confidence and things that I know I'm not good at, I think I could do. Like, I've never been skydiving, but I know that if I tried to skydive, I could probably do it pretty well. And again, there's an end to that where some things I couldn't do, so you have to be humble and have humility with that and understand that you don't know. But I do think that in a large way that having that self-belief, if any way you can get it, is crucial to doing anything in life. And I think people respect that. I respect that in other people. When people believe in themselves and know that, you know, they just trust that they know what they're doing. It makes you feel comfortable in what they're doing. I don't know.
Yeah,
just kind of rambling on.
Well, I think that other people in the office have picked up on that from you too and appreciate it. Aaron's got a lot of those qualities too, you know. Don't you feel that way?
Yeah, I was just sitting here thinking, honestly, like very insightfully, that like if you weren't good at skydiving, you wouldn't know. So,
Aaron's the kind of
I would
guy
have
that,
a proctor there, somebody, right?
No, what I'm saying is you would find out that you weren't good at it, and then you wouldn't have to live with that. So there's good news.
They create fail safes for people like that, though. You'd think.
Well, let me tell you, would you go skydiving? If guys was like, let's go skydiving next week, man, I got a guy that'll take us up. Would you do it?
No.
Why?
I'm very adverse to risk.
That's not risky at all. I mean, 1 in a freaking million, 100 million times does it go wrong. It's more risky to drive the car back to work.
It is, and you're right. I think we have a twisted perception of risk, but I don't even really like roller coasters at this point. Because I'm like, well, there's only 1 out of every 10,000, you know, that malfunctions, and then 1 out of every, maybe even being generous, 150,000 that gets slung out. But I mean, you roll the dice enough times.
Well, I've been skydiving, and I was strapped to a fella. You know, I don't know, just jump out of a plane by myself and trust I'm going to get all this stuff right. So I think
Gary,
Mike, it was Mike.
Could have been Mike.
It was a good thing I had him, because you're right. We came in, we got a real late gust of wind and came in on like a super hard landing. That's the thing that always causes death and injury.
The landing?
You're worried the chute's not going to open, which can happen, but that pretty much always opens. It's like you get a late wind and then you just pound the earth. We came in pretty freaking hard, man, but he was adjusting just right. And, of course, I'm like this idiot that I didn't really know what's going on. I just wanted to jump out of an airplane because I wanted to be an astronaut since I was a little kid, and I thought this is as close as I'm ever going to get to it, is falling back to the earth. But, yeah, it can go, I guess, a little bit hairy.
Yep.
But, no, I was giving you a compliment there. You're a person that also, you don't ever shy away from pretty intimidating situations. I admire that about you a lot also. Don't you agree with that?
I have.
You sit in this chair every week and host a show and trust that whatever you put out there.
Self-deprecating. I think self-deprecation is a key to that confidence too. People who can be critical to themselves, you know. And I've never seen you shy away from a joke because of any kind of feelings or anything like that. I appreciate that.
He doesn't shy away from any jokes.
Yeah, he doesn't.
We all know that.
He fires away.
I think a unique thing that I am okay. There's a lot of things I'm not good at. I'm probably not good at skydiving. But like to just go into, we're doing a lot of construction work at the home office right now, a lot of projects going on. And I'm not a general contractor in any way, but sometimes people are busy and people show up at my door and it's like, hey, can you help us with this thing? And I don't have a real knowledge of a lot of those things. And I don't necessarily even believe those contractors think I have a real knowledge of some of those things, but I'll like dive right into it. And I'm like, cause it's at the end of the day, we're just trying to fix things, right? Whether it's a gas line going to a furnace or a caregiving situation in Nebraska, we're just trying to solve things.
Yeah.
And we don't have to be experts in everything. And so that I don't like, I know a lot of people will be like, I don't know anything about that. And they'll just like, but I will lean into that and it's uncomfortable. And I know that along the way, this plumber may think I'm a moron or this dozer operator may think I'm an idiot, and that's okay. But I'm as good as they got in this moment. So
Yeah.
So that part of it, I do have an odd sense of comfort with or whatever. Like there's really almost nothing that someone could call me about that I wouldn't at least give it a shot. Like I'll tell you up front, I don't know this thing, but anyways, I guess there's a lot of people at Village Caregiving though that has that unique talent. You were talking the other day about like the high level nurses, right? And I was like, well, we have an odd collection of very high level nurses in our organization.
They're so smart.
Yeah, that's not the entire profession. Like we have a select, like it's a very high level.
The
you
last 2-3 weeks, we've had Adria and Anna on here, both nurses. Those are two of the smartest human beings I've ever met in my life.
Yeah.
It's real. It's just the talent that we have and the young talent you're talking about that keeps me young. Not him. He's young anyways, but it keeps me younger.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And
Where do you draw the line? I mean, is it a matter of perspective, young and old, or is there really a benchmark?
Yeah,
where
40.
40?
Yeah.
You eclipse 40 and you're starting to flirt with old?
Dude.
Anyway, it's an amazing collection of talent that we are genuinely lucky to have. Like, there's lots of people, they'd be on a podcast talking about their company. Like, we're so lucky to have these people. I mean, like, in the literal sense, in a small little population area, to have these true, like, 1 in 100,000 type genius people. To me, that's just like a meant to be God thing. It's statistically crazy that we have the kind of talent that we have at our office. And
I agree. I mean, when you look at like Amazon, or a lot of the tech-based companies, they build their industry in an area where they know that talent exists. Our area may not be known for that. So to have that level of talent at a place is really remarkable.
Well, we wouldn't have better talent if we were in Research Triangle in North Carolina. That's what I mean. It's really wild.
But I think it speaks to, at least for me, like it wasn't so much luck that I ended up there. It was kind of the purpose and vision you guys had that drew me in. And I think that's probably the same thing with Adria to some degree, and Will and other people, that young people there. You can kind of feel that those intangible things that make it a great place to work, make the people happy, and kind of doing it for the right reasons, stuff. All those things bottled together make it something that people want to be a part of. And I think that that's a critical element to it too, although it probably is some luck, but I think
I appreciate you saying it. I think it's right. I mean, it is a fun place to work. We all have a good time together. Yeah.
When we are talking about growing the company and attracting the next generation and finding young, talented people, it's something that all of corporate America struggles with, like trying to figure out how do you attract the next batch of talent. What you or Will or Adria, that group, what are you looking for? Some people are looking for a company that they can retire with. Some people's looking for work-life balance. Some people are looking to make as much money as they can. If you were speaking for your age group, what do you think are the important things for someone your age that's looking to start their career in an organization?
It's a difficult question to answer. For myself, I guess I can only really speak for myself. I think that the idea that people always say, like, you want to find something in work that you love to do. I think that that's really unachievable for 99% of people. I think that work is going to be a grind in some fashion, the same way school is a grind. Doesn't mean it's bad or that you don't like it. It just means that there are other elements that kind of, like a Village Caregiving, what I do and the things I do as far as task-wise are not necessarily enjoyable. I wouldn't do those in my free time, but it's the kind of surrounding architecture of the work environment that makes it doable. There's not a lot of expectations. It's not, you need to do this by this day. There's no one on your, like, breathing down, looking over your neck, and management. And maybe some jobs require that more than others. I'm sure they do. But I think that it's really the, like, work life as a whole that attracts people, especially in our generation. There's, I don't know. And working from home is appealing to some people. I'm sure people like that, and there's a different balance with that. And making that workable for companies is probably critical in addressing how they get competitive people in the young job market in their company. But that's really it for me. I mean, and those things happen naturally. I don't think you can manufacture that. You can't make, like, you just are kind of who you are. The company culture is what it is. You can't, and that's why I think we've talked a lot about keeping that culture, and you guys talk all the time about keeping that culture, because I think that it's really easy to lose that as you progress, as you continue to evolve. It's easy to change, and then once you change, you can't just revert back, because it's a collective thing. It's kind of, everybody's bought into certain ideas. And so I don't know. I just think that the idea, the culture is really what most people, I'm sure you guys would probably agree with that too, at Impact Media and stuff. That's a really big thing, I think, for being happy about going to work or being invested in something.
When you get to the end of this thing, you're 50, 60, 70 years old, whatever age, it feels like 1,000 years from now. When you look back, what do you hope that story is? Like, what are you hoping you accomplish in this life? Feel like you have your whole life ahead of you?
I don't know. I think that for me, in terms, you're asking me like the purpose of my life, I guess is what you're asking me to some degree.
Yeah, when you get to the end of this thing and you look back, what do you hope the story is?
I think that we all have a responsibility and a duty to one another to, I think that I view us all as kind of together on a big ship, right? Rather than us all kind of being individuals. Like, we all rub off on one another and share ideas with one another, and those ideas are passed down through time. And so I view that we all have kind of a collective benefit, a collective duty, responsibility to one another to make people better, to kind of progress human culture and society, maybe even community over time. Because I think you're limited in your ability to change things in your lifetime. But you do that through what you pass on to your kids, what you pass on to coworkers, what you pass on to kids you coach, kids you teach, things like that. And I think that's really the value in young people, is you can have a great impact on the future, even more than you could through yourself, through influencing other people in the right direction. And so I think that's really what I want to be remembered as, a person who was kind of wanted to help other people. And I think I fall short of that, and everyone does. But I think if you have that mindset, you're kind of always going to lean towards the right thing and doing the thing that's going to be more helpful than it is harmful.
I was reading recently, and this book said that the thing that makes the human different than any other animal on earth is that our ability to teach our peer something that we've learned, like that other animals cannot teach. If I know how to fill this cup up, all I have to do is teach you how to do it. You don't have to learn that on your own. And I was kind of thinking about that we're continuously in this cycle of, my parents taught me and I'm teaching my kids. And I was talking to Will the other day. My dad can build anything, right? I have watched him build things, so I know how things are built, but I don't physically have the skill set of how to build that thing. And I wonder the gap between me and my son, like, is he even going to know what that thing is? Like, how'd the house even get built? I just thought it grew there, right? Where I saw my dad build a house, and he has the skill set to build a house. I'm trying to figure out that there are things along the way that those skills are lost or not translated, but am I doing my part and my gap in that generation to teach the things that I've had the opportunity to learn? And it's just, I guess it's part of that life cycle.
It's an interesting thought. You're kind of going all the way back to my theory about how dogs will be the next species to evolve. Why did I say that was? Because they're in the house all the time learning stuff and just watching everything that's going on. It's about teaching. Now, there's apes that could probably get there faster, but there's not an ape in every house learning all this stuff as a species, as a whole. I mean, it'd be nice, but they'd probably tear your arms and legs off.
Absolutely. They're very aggressive.
Dogs,
for sure.
nicer, but they're learning a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I've always said that at a certain point in our future, that people are going to look back at us as primitive because we enslave dogs. And I always say that kind of as a joke, but it reminds me of that. That's kind of what it reminded me of.
You know, you got a fishbowl into your own mind, don't you? Maybe you could start filling them up.
I'll tell you what I'd love to do. Did you bring the game with you this week?
Uh-huh.
This game? I would love. I don't need to play this game. A curiosity that I have is, since you two are so similar, is there a chance that he could write it down and you could align it without any discussion? That you two would see these objects. Are you familiar with this game by chance?
We don't know each other's
I've heard it
personal
mentioned.
preferences all that much. Could be. Don't set us up for failure.
I'm
man.
not sitting.
All right, I'm not going to look at the cards here. Well,
Okay.
I'm nervous now. He'll pull a damn rabbit out of this box or something. All right.
I'm usually not the card trick guy either.
All right.
So, you
So
guys
we have
enjoy
5
that.
cards here. Okay.
Yeah.
Very, very simple rules. All right.
Yep.
You're going to be shown these 5 cards, and then you're going to rank them. Number 1 being the one that you most
Love the most.
5 being the one you can't stand, right? And you're just going to rank them, and you can qualify it however you want, okay? But he can't see the board, all right? And then he's going to arrange the cards from top to bottom.
Based on how he thinks I would have arranged them.
Exactly. So number 1 is a
mug doesn't
balanced
cover.
diet, okay? A balanced diet. Number 2 would be some kittens.
Okay.
Now there's no way if he knows if you have a cat allergy or not. Number 3 would be cheese, and I happen to know your stance on cheese.
What is it?
I can't tell you. Number 4 would be harmonizing. Now, I've never heard you sing, but I have heard you rap, and you're oddly good. And number 5, you're either hot or cold on this, and that would be licorice.
Ooh, that's tough. I
I
have
know.
no earthly idea if he likes licorice.
Well, I got some ideas here. So you write those down. Keep in mind that
Based on love, right?
Yeah, we're charged by the minute here, so let's not. Okay. Go ahead.
So you're gonna know them in advance.
Oh, I'm going to know. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
I'm
you're
not-
good.
I'm not
I don't
worried
need
about
that.
that then.
Are you thinking about these while you're there? So number 1 is going to be up here. Number 5 is going to be closest to Chandler.
Yeah, I think I've got it.
Okay.
Oh, I don't know if I've got his, but I know what I'm gonna guess.
Okay.
This is really a tough one. It's not like, remember whenever we did it with Anna, there was stuff like God, world peace,
Yeah.
puppies, slippers, and what was the last one? It was between
Snuggles.
Snuggles.
Yeah. All right. So what card is number 1 for you?
I think he's going to have cheese, number 1.
Okay. Cheese number 1. He does love string cheese.
Okay. Number
I
2,
do
he's
like
going to
cheese.
say a balanced diet.
Okay.
Number 3, he's going to have harmonizing.
Okay.
Number 4, he's going to go licorice, and I'm going to say he's not into kittens.
Okay. So cheese, diet, harmonizing, licorice, and kittens. Chandler, reveal your answers.
So number 1 was harmonizing.
This guy loves to sing
Okay.
with others.
I thought of it more as like I don't know, a music and non-music thing, harmony and
Just
between people.
in sync with humans in life.
Sure.
Well, there was confusion
How
about the
you
cards.
Confusion about the terms. I mean, these are.
you didn't land there.
I went harmonizing, kittens, a balanced diet, licorice, cheese. I actually I'm not crazy about cheese, especially in respect to these other topics. I like string cheese at work because it's fun to kind of keep me occupied. It's like it's a 5-minute exercise.
You got licorice as number 4.
I enjoy string cheese because it takes a minute to eat. It's like I get to kind of relax and think while I do it.
Okay, man. See, they're an interesting guy.
Yeah.
The thing I see you eat all the time is last on your list.
I don't even have a cat
Harmonizing
either,
with
but I do love-
humans.
I do
so
love cats.
your answer was harmonizing,
Kittens,
then kittens.
balanced diet, licorice, and cheese.
Well, I put kittens down and it was like living organism thing. I was like, I don't want to do them like that.
Living organism.
Yeah, I don't want to put it below. I don't want to prefer licorice to kittens. It just
God,
seems
we
wrong.
should have started with this and not ended with it.
This just seems wrong.
Can we please bring Chandler back for
Oh.
another episode and we can play again?
I think we just keep playing and let the cameras roll.
We got to end this.
Is it always?
sometime.
Does the
We're-
guest
we're already-
always prioritize?
Well, we've only done it. This is our second time doing it.
You're coming back next time. I got to get to the bottom of some. Wait a minute, licorice. You don't like licorice?
I like it, but it's like I'm kind of like mid. On
Black
it,
or
mediocre
red?
On it. Black.
Black
I mean, I like
balanced-
Jägermeister. That's really the main consumption I have with licorice. I don't really.
Don't eat Twizzlers or anything.
Nah, I don't like Twizzlers.
You might want to try it. You could eat them slow, and it'd take a while.
I can pick them apart.
Yeah.
They're twizzled up. You know?
Yeah. Try to unravel one braid at a time. All right. Well, you know what? There's always something to learn about you, is what I've just gained from that exercise.
Yeah.
But next time we'll flip it around. You can see if you can guess mine.
All right, real quick. What's your favorite memory of Chandler?
Well, you're wanting me to say whenever we did karaoke in Chicago,
my God.
and he was just killing Kanye songs.
Unbel-
I mean, he is a good rapper. I'm not
That
joking
is-
around.
that
It's
is-
really good.
But you're wrong. That is not my favorite Chandler memory.
What is?
The Uber drive after we left.
He actually preferred to sit in the front with the Uber driver and just have these great conversations.
Not only did he take the front seat with the Uber driver, he commandeered the stereo system.
Oh, can I pair to your stereo?
Well, the Uber driver is great because there's no pressure. It's like you get a free human interaction. They'll never judge you. They'll never know you. It's kind of like talking to someone on the internet, right? Or on a video game where you're in there for 15 minutes with them. I mean,
Yeah.
you can be a great person. You can be a terrible person. You can try any kind of personality you want.
Yeah.
At that point,
Yeah, it's not.
they're
really,
never going to hold it against you.
Uber,
be honest, though.
If you're looking for sponsorship opportunities,
Uber.
yeah, get Uber. He's going to be banned from their service. But other than that, Chandler, seriously, man, thank you so much for coming on, having the courage to come on. It is, I understand, outside of your comfort zone, but you were a good sport about it. I know I enjoy and will miss working side by side with you when we move offices in the near future. But it has been a lot of fun talking with you today. And Jeff isn't wrong. We need to have you back soon.
I appreciate that. Thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely.
Thanks, buddy.
Cheers.
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 Cha-cha-cha.